Hello and welcome to the program The Other Reykjavík or Hin Reykjavík, where we speak to real people about real issues and talk about things that are not often addressed in the mainstream media. Today I have some of the organizers of the Reykjavík Cultural Cypher, which is a pilot project of the organization Reykjavík Zone. And they run a summer camp for youth. And the mission of the 5-day camp is to provide a platform for creative expression for underserved youth. Now with me today are Jade Maroon, who is based here in Reykjavík, Spiritchild, who is talking to us from New York, Dorien Vidya, which is speaking to us from Brussels, and Kamilla Kristrúnardóttir Hancock, which is also speaking here from Reykjavík. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
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 Peace.
No, it's nice to meet you all, but I just want to kind of put the word out to you because and to explain to us what the cultural cipher is and Reykjavík Zone also. But can we take a round of introductions and just say your names and what is your role in the program? Who wants to start? Jade, do you want to start?
Yeah, I'm Jade Maroon, and role in the camp is kind of I guess facilitator of and starting the organization, and but I starting but not founding. This work comes from kind of it comes from the pedagogy which Spiritchild created, which we'll go more into later, and which also comes from kind of ancestral evolutions, to now kind of. But yeah, I would say facilitator of the evolution of that here in Reykjavík to the best of my ability.
Thank you. So we'll pass over to Spiritchild.
Peace. My name is Spiritchild. I'm with the Maroon Party for Liberation out here based in New York. My role in the camp was somewhat of providing director, also providing some of the fundamental pedagogy that we did, which Jade had mentioned, which is called critical revolutionary hip hop pedagogy, and a bit of mentorship on the side, and some production, but mostly helping to assist with the facilitation.
Thank you. And over to Dorien.
Yes, hello everybody. I'm Dorien, also with the Maroon Party for Liberation, and I was in a very similar role to Spiritchild, as we've been working together for a couple of years now with critical revolutionary hip hop pedagogy as the fundament of a lot of our youth work, both in Europe and other places. So I was there as well to assist with overall facilitation of the camp and the mentors.
Thank you, and I'm sorry I pronounced your name. It's Dorien, yeah?
Yeah, that's great. All good.
And Kamilla.
Hi, this is Kamilla, and I was actually a part of this summer camp for the first time last year, and now I'm going to be helping with the MC group this year.
Thank you. It's so nice to have you here, because I heard of this project last year, and I just thought it was extremely interesting for so many reasons. So I just wanted to kind of ask if you can tell us a bit about the project and the ideology behind it. And who wants to go first? Spiritchild or Jade? Jade? Yeah. Jade, can you please turn on your microphone?
Okay, is that better? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will definitely let Spirit and Dorien go also deeper into the ideology and all of that. But I should say I'm also part of the Maroon Party for Liberation as well, the Icelandic side, and in Charleston as well. But yeah, I mean the kind of beginning of Reykjavík Cultural Cypher, goes back to like 2012, I believe, or 2011, 2012. I've been trying to get the startup of this going for like probably 8 years, since that time. As Spiritchild, knows, I've been trying to get him here for many years, and it finally, came to fruition in 2000, and really started to be serious about being able to do it, like in 2000 and end of 2017, and I had just moved back from Charleston because we've been kind of back and forth throughout the years. I had been in Charleston for 4 years. Actually, it was like 2015. I started, being mentored by Spiritchild and his partner Rosa and Dorien as well. Dorien, and taking the trainings of the critical revolutionary hip hop pedagogy. And I had been involved in doing, youth work, which I've always been passionate about. And, I came from Charleston, South Carolina, and there's a lady named Septima Clark who was kind of, she doesn't get a lot of credit because partly because of being a woman, but she is kind of the foundation of the freedom schools, which followed, years later, and even the liberation schools of Malcolm X and there's actually another person from Charleston named oh man, his name's passing me now, so I'll tell her later. But anyways, I had been following, knowing and following this history and like so yeah, I had finally I'd found kind of through Spiritchild, who I had already known since 2008 or 2009, and he was doing this work called Movements in Motion, and doing a lot of youth work, there already, and yeah, so I connected and said I really want to join what you guys are doing and what you all are doing, and so through that process I started taking started training in the pedagogy and using it in Charleston with my comrade and friend, and who is a young, she's in her mid-30s, she started a program called Unlocking Potential, and I started using that work in her program because it was art and movement based, and she's part of the Gullah Geechee Nation, and so coming here I was like I want to pick up what I had left off in 2011 and 12 and try and get this thing started with kind of more knowledge under my belt and more wisdom, I guess. And so I went through a lot of conceptualism, I guess, to, like I was saying earlier before we started the call, that the organization, would create an organization that this would be the foundational root of it, and then having, that many things could be created underneath it with the, within the organization, with how, our bylaws and stuff like that are written, and that, especially the youth that come through can come in and, create, projects and things like that they can like see through or whatever. And so, yeah. And I'll let Spiritchild go in. I can go into the pedagogy myself and kind of ideology, but I think it's good coming from the source. So I'll let you.
Thanks, Jade. So we've been doing this work. Some of you may or may not know, out in Iceland, New York, when dealing with oppression, a lot of our resources are sucked from our communities, and some of the first to suffer are the young people, especially through the process of education or lack of education. So a lot of people in our communities, in addition to the pandemics that are currently existing, such as police brutality, assassinations, and all that, have been trying to find a way to continue to work and mentor with our young people. So very early on, as an MC, I've always thought it was important to mentor my partner as well. We met on different reigns. Her organization is called Urban Art Beat. And the same way she kind of started her organization is the same many people have started organizations here in New York City, which is based out of a need to figure out how to continue to work with our youth through after-school programming, through decolonizing the minds as they're being washed by the brains of these institutions. We're constantly trying to talk about her story. We're constantly trying to talk about not only physical, spiritual, and emotional needs that are not being addressed, but we're trying to do that creatively. So in 2013 was the first time, I wasn't with my partner at the time, that she decided to do a hip hop summer camp. And I think this model of a summer camp was very unique and important, because what it does is it takes a week of intensive training or mentoring, puts everyone together to build this community, as opposed to trying to idealistically infiltrate the systems of education, which can take a really long time. We decided to create our alternative, our other world, as I'm sure your people understand that quite well. So we were thinking of how do we highlight and grow something and prefigure a new society with our young people. So despite all the isms and despite all the disparities, we were still able to mobilize young people in Harlem, the Bronx, Brooklyn, and this model worked. It's very student-centered, student-led, as you see Kamilla here, who is also going to be leading in this summer camp. And she's been very intricate throughout this year of building with Jade. We tried to identify the young people to actually take the reins. And for some people, it's a little unclear, like how could you have somebody who maybe doesn't know the political ideology or whatever, but we have a lot of faith in the process. And it's never about an end goal product, although our young people have made extremely extraordinary products through the process. But our process is the main thing. So the main fundament is the process. It's called critical revolutionary hip hop pedagogy. Clearly, there's always a revolutionary component. We don't force any ideology, but we ask the young people and the mentors, what do you care about? And when we break out into our subgroups, they work on a creative kind of campaign going towards what they care about. They do research. They not only just write rhymes or produce, but the frequencies that they're putting in, the energy that they're putting in is what's really important. Obviously, we try to create a safer space where we have a community agreements that sets off. It's our village. If you can think of a sovereign nation within a nation that's not so clear with their political agenda, at least overtly, how oppressive it is, we're providing a space where the young people can articulate themselves. What are the issues? What matters to them? And then all we do is just facilitate that process. It's based off of also Paulo Freire, the pedagogy of the oppressed, Asada Shakur, Fred Ho, which is my sensei and mentor, who's a Chinese baritone sax player who worked in many formations, the Black Panther Party, the Young Lords Party. All of these things we contextualize because we have learned that the Black Panther Party, the Young Lords, the average person was about 14, 15 years old. And for some reason during this time, maybe because of systems that may be, don't push or discuss the politic at a very early age, or how to counter the politics. So we try to provide those tools. We identify young people to be facilitators and leaders, and then we hope to work with them closer in their revolutionary journey, or passage, as we like to call it, to help develop and foster some internal and external ideology, politics. So that's pretty much in a nutshell, like what we're doing. It's a great social experiment because there's no key, there's no answer. And most of our work has been in prison. So I will also say that we've worked a lot on Rikers Island, which is one of the largest prisons in the world. It's a whole island allocated, which disproportionately we have a very high ratio of Black and brown people there. If people don't know already who's being affected by these things, it is our people, our young people especially. We work there with young women on Rikers Island from 16 to 21 years old, as well as young men. Thank goodness during last year, they no longer have 16 to 18. I believe now it's only 18 to 21, but we don't believe any young person or individuals, especially nonviolent drug offenders or whatever the case may be, should be in such a hideous condition, such as these prisons. This work has also continued, which maybe we'll pass the mic with Dorien and her organization, Kamilla, doing work in the prisons out in Belgium, doing hip hop summer camps in Germany, even going to East Africa. So this is not something that we are sponsored by the government for. This is very grassroots. As Jade mentioned, we have been working for years prior, and it just pops up. Sometimes the cards are right and it happens, but we don't have any particular institution that's backing us, only the heart of liberation and freedom at the forefront. So that's why we're doing it, and I will pass the mic.
Thank you. And Dorien? The connection is, I think Dorien is struggling with connection. So yeah, we will, while we wait for Dorien, I'll go to Kamilla because you were a participant. Yeah. So I'm very interested to hear yours. Oh, Dorien is here, sorry.
No worries, I'll keep it short.
Be back to you. Yeah. Sorry, could you hear us okay? Or
Yes, I could hear you. I just switched it off, so hopefully it will be all right.
Okay.
Yes, so as Spiritchild and Jade were saying, it's an incredible pedagogy to work with and build upon, and for the youth to build upon too, because that is definitely what we want to do. The objective is to create communities where we go with the summer camps and wherever we go with this work, and to bring it back to as much as we can to what was said before, the justice and social justice topics that are close to people's hearts, that to the youth, to the hearts of our youth, revolutionary topics that they can then write about, as Kamilla has done, and put into beautiful lyrics or beats and work together through videography. And it was such a beautiful process to see the youth bloom throughout that summer camp. And that's what we see wherever we take the work, like Spiritchild was saying, with Kamilla, which is an NGO based in Belgium that we co-founded over here. We do a lot of work in youth prisons because we found that there is one of the gaps where there's not a lot of art that has been given to the youth behind walls neither. So it's beautiful to see it sprout throughout and to connect and to keep connecting the people that are working with it and the youth that are leading with it. So I'm very interested to hear as well what Kamilla's experience with it is.
Yeah, thank you so much. Kamilla, I really want to hear your side because you were a participant. And maybe if you can tell us about why you wanted to enter in the first place, and then, what was your experience?
I actually was introduced to this camp by my friend Daurun, who is not a part of this anymore because she's very busy with dance. But it's been definitely a life-changing thing I've become a lot more involved in social issues than I used to be. I think it's also really great because the youth is becoming more and more aware of social issues today, because of things like this, where they're finally educating us on what is going on in the world, because before it was not really shared. There's a lot of people that would never know about stuff like this that has been happening, and I definitely would I would definitely let a lot of other people join this, because it's helped me find my own voice. When I made my song, I wasn't really aware of the self-turmoil that I had with who I was being a mixed race person. I kind of buried what I felt about it. And being a part of this has definitely made me appreciate the good and the bad of social issues and stuff like that. So I wish I could put it in better words, but
no, you've done it absolutely perfectly.
Yeah. I think I'm better at putting into words in lyrics than actual conversation.
Yeah,
You're making me cry. I'm tearing up. So that means it's really good for me. So thank you.
No problem.
Poetic justice like that.
Yeah, I almost wish I could do it all over again as a first experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So was it like, because it's a five-day camp? Yeah. Am I right? As well, is that in the description? So is it like, is everybody emceeing, or is it like a mixture of different talents, or what is the?
It's super groups. So the model that we've had, we work better with identifying. So in hip hop, in the culture of hip hop, there are 5 original elements. So you have emceeing, b-boy, b-girl, you have DJing, you have graffiti, and you have knowledge. So there's these other elements that we also add on according to people's interest, but we provide that information. So there was graffiti, there was capoeira, there was a little bit of b-boy, b-girl kind of demonstrations. There was some emceeing. I think this year it's going to be added some singing as well. So it's according to, we provide like a platform of like, hey, this is hip hop culture and we can do any of these things. But if there's a mentor that has a skill that wants to do more visual arts and not graffiti, it's not really relevant to us exactly what those groups are, but that the groups exist so that they can have smaller time with their mentors. Because you're talking about, sometimes we have 50 participants in any given space. So to break that up, to have those conversations, to work on your skill development. So yeah, those are some of the things that, as far as the breakout groups, and we found the super groups, we call them super groups, they become super because they build this connection over the course of 5 days, that they have so much time to work with each other and not be swallowed by a larger conversation from the whole group,
Yeah. So it's and also I'm interested in the demographic of the group, because it's like a mixture of local kids and like immigrants, Icelandic born people, and like, yeah, refugee children. Am I right?
Yeah.
So it's so what was the demographic like, for example, last year? Was it, what was the
Yeah, it was I mean, going into like I guess conceptualizing what this could look like here, from just from a vantage point of having been like organizing with asylum seekers since, like, in Iceland since 2008, and and seeing that that there was before 2008, there were a lot of people didn't even know about including us, who kind of like got into this work then, you know, the asylum seekers were, you know, located like right at a place called Fit Hostel. It was like weird place, kind of half hostel, half shark, half man. No, but yeah, half and half, yeah, just people seeking asylum. I always say people seeking asylum instead of asylum seekers. You know, just semantics. You know, about because people aren't asylum seekers. It's like people weren't slaves; they were people, and then you know who were enslaved or whatever. But so like yeah, people that are seeking asylum. You know, they were like right by the airport, and you know, ready to be, you know, deported at any, you know, at any moment or you know whatever time. So so yeah, so just you know, I felt, you know, especially here with like, I mean, you know, Iceland, because of like many situations, you know, had been a homogenous kind of, you know, there wasn't a lot of different national, especially whenever I first came here. It was, you know, it's there's a lot more immigration and things like that now, but back then, you know, it was, you know, it wasn't anything close to what it is now. You know, if I am if I am correct. But yeah, so you know, I felt like there was a need to, because like a lot of the immigrants that were, even immigrants that were here and the asylum seekers or the people seeking asylum, they were, you know, kind of in their own space, you know, in their own spaces and not really mixing amongst each other, which is, you know, like, you know, one thing that's you know, a difficulty for youth that are, for anybody seeking asylum, you know, and getting, you know, connections and networks to be relationships, you know, helping them to, you know, which, you know, helps the process of their you know, of the asylum seeking process. So, and I felt like there was a need to you know, bring these different you know, sections of society together and you know, one, you know, empower. I guess the main goal was, you know, empowerment of everybody, empowerment of the youth of people seeking asylum, empowerment of immigrants, and empowerment of the youth Icelanders. But like that, you know, from a young, you know, from, you know, early on, you know, the schools aren't teaching about, you know, different cultures very well, or different, and it's always the media is kind of often ends up telling the story, you know, of you know, of people. So so yeah, the different, long story short, the different demographics, or the different I don't like that word either, but the different sections and cultures of the program are set up to, you know, kind of facilitate this, I guess, and yeah, more or less.
Yeah, thank you. That's
Yeah.
yeah. I know that none of us likes labeling groups of
Yeah.
people, but
Yeah.
it's our social reality, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I kind of also wanted to ask maybe Spiritchild and Dorien, because you came to Iceland to help run this workshop. What was your experience with Iceland and Icelandic youth?
Want me to go first, Spirit?
Yeah.
In terms of the youth, yeah, they were amazing. All of the youth we worked with, we always say this, but I feel when we give them the space, they always take it over and make it something amazing. And collaboration is a big part of our process as well. So they were working together in groups from different ethnicities and different backgrounds, and really sharing stories. So it was beautiful to get to know each and every one of them with their own talents. In terms of Iceland, I definitely got to see the behind the place where we were, there was like a beautiful river, so I got to see a little bit of the rough and beautiful nature. Because we are usually people who are full on, we didn't really get to see much of the country, but we got to see some beautiful spots. And also obviously we were there when it doesn't go into the nighttime anymore. So that was definitely also an experience of how your mind goes when there is no no moon, no darkness. So that was a whole personal experience linked to it. It was a beautiful community. It was, and thank you again, Jade, for making it happen and keeping the courage going for all those years, because those are also parts of the story that we don't always get to tell. The amount of years and willingness and passion that there is behind this work, and then the passion of the youth that is there, like Kamilla, and I'm so happy she's there, and a couple of you have taken it over, and I think that says everything to me on that question of the youth. So yeah,
thank you. Spiritchild, you're very experienced with this type of thing, so
I mean, we're so, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, we're proud of Kamilla, we're proud of all the young people. We've been following them. I think it's a testament to show the success when we assess things, right? Like the connection that they still have today. So our main purpose, we went out there, it's like community building, and then the education, and then we can talk about revolution in a practical way of actually getting somewhere. And I came over with my two little ones, who were, I think 1 and maybe 4 at the time, or 1 and just turning 4. So to see all of the young people support my little cubs was really touching, and a testament of seeing like, okay, we're gonna work something out. Even the space that we were in, it was very colorful, which is unique to many facilities, especially in New York City. You'd be surprised what colors on the walls would do to a mind, or what lack of colors do to a mind. A lot of our school systems is not shocking, but they look like prison systems, like the institutions themselves are very dry. So to have this space that was very bright and colorful, our young people were able to run freely. Obviously, we learn a lot through our young people, right? Like that's one of the litmus tests that they say, the elders, the young people, especially my children, how much they can tolerate or handle. I think a lot of it was very accessible for them in a way of like, they were able to see things happening. They were able to play little games every now and then. They were with us during the icebreakers. They didn't run away, right? So I think for me, it's really important to see that. And even dealing with the lack of darkness, right? My kids definitely showed us that and reminded us every day that there was no moon happening for them, so it was really clear. But a lot of our model as well comes from Zapatistas, right? Or Zapatismo. So we study this, and we've been out to Chiapas, Mexico, and the caracol, this spiral, right? Like, in the way they move, in the very center is the people, and the EZLN, or the army, wouldn't make a move until the council says so. And that's kind of like how our pedagogy is with our young people. We center everything, bringing a bunch of resources, but according to what they want, then we kind of spiral out. And that is really critical for us. It's a slow process, and I know more beautiful things are gonna happen. I've seen some campaigns that have been fostered by this connection, this community, the sharing of the campaigns politically, and just the camaraderie, period. So I'm impressed by Iceland. I'm not sure if it's because there is room to breathe in this way that allows that privilege of this kind of pace of organizing. But as far as many places we've been to, it has probably been one of the most successful as far as continuing that legacy of community building and moving forward and having the young people step up into leadership of the facilitation of the camp. That is very unique. We've always wanted that process, and it's taken us sometimes, like a few decades of working and being in this space to figure that out and to see the fruition right now. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do this year. I'm excited to be a part of it, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen in 5 and 10 years from this.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was actually the next step. I wanted to find out a bit more about this year, because you're now in the stage of recruitment. Am I right?
Yeah, that was actually the next point that I wanted to make as well. So we're on the same wavelength. Yeah, I mean, we're coming to a close actually pretty soon with recruitment. We're pretty close to what we feel is what we can facilitate at our at our camp or whatever. So but it's a process of reaching out through, I mean, especially with the different groups of people and their different situations. Like, I mean, it's one we've worked, with other organizations that work with asylums, work with people seeking asylum or youth seeking asylum. Some, I mean, like last year, I used some resources that I had from my previous work of working through like just people that have been through the asylum seeking process in general, and then other organizations, and meeting them personally at functions that these other organizations hold, and then continuing. I'm like this week we're going to meet with the whole or like as many of the participants that come or that can come. They will come to the actual space we're using this year, and we will. This will be like I think this will be the third kind of meeting we've had with them since they since we started taking registration and getting in contact with them, because like Spirit said, we're molding our program around their interests. I mean, even with social justice and systems of oppression kind of issues, we want to hear from them what they want to talk about them. We want to have them kind of lead those conversations through good facilitation in the camp. So we're meeting with them. We're going to meet with the participants at least 2 more times this week and another time next week with different mentors. So that's about what that situation is. But I think we have, from my understanding, I think most of the unaccompanied minors that are here, at least the ones that go to these other organizations meetings and different things, and through our own, actually the beautiful part of the process, and the beautiful part of the reason why we organize that, encourage the youth leadership, is that that energy is what is going to continue the evolution, instead of like some old heads thinking they know everything, trying to hold on to something that isn't really theirs to hold on to anymore. And like the youth, a lot of the youth that have been participating, some of them seeking, in the process of seeking asylum, either before or still, have some of the youth that are coming, they contacted, instead of going through these other organizations, we didn't rely so much on other NGOs or whatever like we did last year. I'm not taking anything really away from these other organizations. That's another topic for later or whatever. But yeah, so we kind of like building our own internal resources in how we communicate to the participants that we're, and like the Icelandic youth, a lot of the Icelandic youth that are coming this year are because of the youth that were there last year, and vice versa, and so on. So yeah, that's a bit about that.
Yeah, and you're starting on the 10th of August, am I correct?
Yeah.
That the aim for, yeah.
Yeah.
So the camp will run from the 10th of August until
5 days. 10th of August, I gotta go. No,
running late. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's so we will put all the links, but you're still accepting.
Yes, we're still accepting, but I think we're trying to close at the end of the month, and we will of course, if we haven't reached the magic number or whatever, we will take more over, but everybody sign up now so we can meet you before, but
I'm just curious because Kamilla, you will be mentoring this year.
Yes, I will be mentoring this year. I will be able to be there as much as possible. I know that there are a few others that are going to be emceeing in the group. I've been quite busy the past month or so in the Miss Universe contest, but I'm trying to be there and be involved as much as I possibly can.
Thank you.
I was going to say, would you want to elaborate more on your involvement in that, and like what you were telling, I don't know, you do as you want to do, but you were telling me some interesting things about that, like earlier, but only if it's something that you want to discuss.
Yeah, I actually joined the Miss Universe Iceland competition in February to try and use that platform for my voice of the immigrational system and racial issues and stuff like that. And I've been very busy practicing things that because I'm not very much of a Miss Universe pageant type of person, but the platform is definitely a very good thing to use, your voice and to try and make a difference. Yep.
Thank you. We absolutely love that. And we'll be rooting for you.
By all means necessary.
Exactly. But I suppose the COVID situation has put a bit of a spin on the whole thing.
We're prepared for that. We like to say as revolutionaries, we're not necessarily the ones that's going to spark the revolution in that particular way, but we definitely are not going to run around like chickens with our head cut off because something is out of order. And we have been hit pretty hard out here, so we're virtually thinking of our participation. So we'll be doing and facilitating a pedagogy training virtually for probably a day or maybe two. Our trainings usually last about 3 days. Obviously, our capacity is going to be different, but between Dorien, myself, and my partner over here who work in different youth organizations, we've been creating videos. We've been still able to access over 5,000 people, probably 10,000 right now, throughout the prisons in the United States of America, just through electronic tablets. So we definitely have been prepared, and we are stocking up our arsenal of culture as a weapon. So we're ready. Even if there's a pandemic, we're ready to still be involved. We can't fly, clearly. We can't be there with you all. We would love to. We would love to smell the sage and be in the opening libations and all that and hear your beautiful voices live. But we will be with you for sure in spirit and in soul. So we'll be there in our capacity.
Yeah, could I say one more thing to that as well?
Sure, go ahead.
Unless you want to say, Dorien hasn't been on in a while.
That's cool. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to bring to light to like a section of the camp that we're going to have this year that actually was trying to do in person, live, in stereo, kind of, or in surround sound. But now, I mean, now it's going to happen through Zoom instead of but a section of the camp, and through what we already know the youth are wanting to talk about, and we can kind of guess what some of those topics are. But yeah, so like one of the kind of social justice life issue oriented facilitation that we're gonna do this year is to we're gonna bring in Spiritchild and Dorien and possibly Rosa, I'm not sure what, maybe, and we're going to bring actually someone that we've worked with quite a bit, and I actually met through Spiritchild through his soul sessions, which were a part of the movement, part of the process of the pedagogy, and just family kind of thing in general. But through that, I've become good friends with this great elder, but she's far from an elder. She's got more energy than I hope I will have her energy whenever I'm where she's at. I wish I could have her energy now. But Mama C, Charlotte Hill O'Neill from Tanzania, but the reason why they're in Tanzania is because they were part of the Black Panther Party, and they were kind of forced to exile, 50-something years ago. And, she's able to still move around, but her husband, Pete O'Neill, was not. And so, but she comes to the U.S. every year, and we were going to have her come to the camp this year, or we were trying, financially. But yeah, so she's going to participate with some of her youth, actually some youth that have come, that are now mentors in her program, and very good artists, revolutionary artists. And also the lady I was speaking of earlier from Charleston, who has the Unlocking Potential program and part of the Gullah Geechee Nation. Her and kind of the Minister of Information for the Gullah Geechee Nation, Elder Carly Town, possibly with her, and maybe some of their youth, to have this kind of international, to bring to the forefront, even more the international aspect of the struggle, and that we are very international, obviously, and and so we're going to bring, kind of facilitate taking, some, as we get more like this week and next week, kind of facilitate kind of questions that our youth, and hopefully, the youth that are able to come on for the different participants of this to provide the questions that will facilitate this hour of discussion that day.
Yeah. Thank you. It's yeah. Dorien, you wanted to?
Yeah, I think I just wanted to add on the international component and what we've been saying about, talking about revolution. I think it's so important to see the components of youth and community and how that links into each other, and bringing people, right? Not just talking about issues, but really bringing people, connecting to organizations on the ground that are working on those topics, where youth as well can join and can play a role if they want to, or can get to know more about things, that they can use their platforms like Kamilla is doing to talk about the topics that are close to their hearts, and need addressing, and need commitment from a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm I have so many other questions, but unfortunately we're nearly out of time. So we'll be wrapping this up unless there's something somebody really wants to add.
I kind of wanted to, I mean, if we have time for it, because you mentioned something about a situation we had here in Iceland just before the COVID, actually, with one of our participants, and I thought it might be nice to just speak for a couple seconds.
Yeah, because there's also the issue with COVID is that a lot of refugees and asylum seekers kind of got into a bit of a, well, basically a lot of people got stranded or stuck or very uncertain. So is that what you're?
No, I was talking about the person that was facing, it was right before COVID.
Oh, yes, Mani's case.
Yeah.
Thank you. That would be lovely if you would.
No, it was just, I mean, just as an example, and I don't want to go too deep in it because I know that they got a lot of, they got a lot of public attention during that time. And, I think that, but I will say that, and I think it's okay to say that they did get asylum now, or that they did get a, right to stay here and be protected here. And that only happens, I mean, I don't want to say that only happened, but I mean, I think a lot of the reason that went into that was the community that was created during this process. And, one of our youth was actually the person that kind of started the petition, kind of started the whole process, actually, of going into the petition, and then it carrying on into the demonstrations and the different acts that kind of built up the momentum of this, and a lot of that, I mean, basically, I mean, from what I understand, a lot of that can be attributed to the youth that were involved in the camp, and and that's all on them. They created and developed these relationships on their own accord, and like their input into the whole thing was that they kind of created the situation of him being able to stay here, and the family, and I will also say vice versa that Mani has been very is an amazing person, and as well, and has been there like to support everyone else in different regards as well. And so it isn't just like not so that there isn't this like savior thing happening, but this community in opposition to that. It's just like each has done pretty much, the people that have like stayed involved on different levels. Like Kamilla was saying, she's been really busy, but she has stayed, even though she's been busy, she stayed, engaged as much as she has been able to, and that's beautiful. It shows the integrity, of the youth, and and if they're facilitated a chance to engage, and kind of in polar opposition to, if people are just like fed information, if it's just a camp for teaching some, or for like giving some instruction, or giving some, just given the skill in and of itself, and just allowed to, kind of take control of the process, So that's basically.
Yeah, this is what you were talking about before, Spiritchild, about the community building, wasn't it?
Yes.
You wanted to say something.
Yeah, and I wanted to just emphasize, for all the people who are watching this, that again, we are not sponsored by any institutions. it is you. Like, I know we're talking about this as if it's already a sound model, but it's only sound by your involvement. You know, whatever you do, a teacher, you're an artist, even if you're not in the realm of hip hop, you'd be surprised what community building does. We need everyone, especially when we're not sponsored. And it's not even about money resource. It's just about trying to continue to help this village. You know, we're doing the best we can in New York. We hope that people in Iceland will see that there's a need in Iceland to work with young people and to work with their own people, or just meet other different people and build in that way. So we want to facilitate that. We want to meet you, and we want to keep that connection going. That's the only way we're going to dismantle white supremacy, patriarchy, and all the isms that exist, is if we start being proactive and prefigure this society, which means we need to sustain it. So the community is really important. The education is definitely important. And the action of art as a cultural weapon is what we're using. So please, please, please join us in whatever capacity you can.
And thank you so much. This is like a good final words for now, because we would love to keep up with you and maybe have you again when after this finishes. But but I would like to thank you all for being with me today. And we are now saying goodbye from the Other Reykjavík.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
You.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Good luck, Kamilla, and the Universal.
Yes.
Rock on. We got you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Lots of love.